We have such sights to show you. I'm your host, Kane, and today we're going to be talking about Hellraiser from 1987 and its 2022 remake. So sit back, relax, get your popcorn ready, and let's dive in to some Cenobite territory, shall we? So, let's get this out of the way. As you can guess, probably by the month of October, I'm a huge horror fan. Have been for many, many years. That said, the original Hellraiser, when I was younger, was not a horror film I particularly enjoyed all that much. Not because it was too gory or too scary, just because, in truth, it was kind of boring. I didn't kind of get the concepts that they were trying to deal with in the film, and as a result, Clive Barker's original 1987 classic for many years just kind of eluded me as far as its appeal. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved Halloween and I loved Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and several other things that weren't slasher films, but you get the idea. Now, that said, within the last few years, I rewatched Hellraiser, thanks to one of my favorite shows on the internet streaming service, Shudder, The Last Drive-In. I'm not sponsored. I want to just put that out there. I'm not sponsored by them, but The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs showed Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2 over the course of several seasons, and when I revisited them, not only did I come out with a new appreciation for the Hellraiser franchise, but I kind of started to understand what all the other horror fans over the years had seen in that franchise that I just missed. Now I've seen the first four, and from what I've been told, I shouldn't go any further. Probably won't. Not because I'm not enjoying the franchise, just because, a lot of the straight to DVD stuff is not nearly as entertaining as the stuff that was actually shown theatrically. The original 87 film is one of those movies that you watch and you try and grapple with a lot of concepts. There's the concept of woman cheating within her marriage with her brother-in-law. There's the concept of a niece being terrorized by her uncle. There's the overarching evil stepmother kind of thing within the original. Plus there's the actual puzzle box itself and the Cenobites. Now, the film itself is a fairly easy to grasp thing. The Cenobites are very complex in that you're never really given a direct, this is how they were created, this is what they want, this is who they serve kind of thing. It's always hinted at within the background. You do get little glimpses into all of these questions, but you're never given a definitive history. It's kind of like the Necronomicon in Evil Dead in that way, in that you're never given a definitive history of where the Deadites came from. Now, that said, I love the original. Doug Bradley is absolutely a perfect Hell Priest / Pinhead. The rest of the cast is very good as well. You've got some veteran actors in there whose names, unfortunately, are escaping me at the time, but they're all great, and the original Hellraiser is totally worth the status it has within the horror community. That said, now let's talk about the 2022 remake, because I'm here to tell you, I didn't outright hate it, but I definitely can't say I loved it either. It did some interesting things, to say the least. The redesign of the majority of the Cenobites was both paying homage to what came before and also trying to do its own thing, which I can appreciate. It kind of got rid of the like S&M leather vibe that the original Cenobites had, and tried to do something more with like the flesh on the Cenobites making up their clothes, which was an interesting idea, and I respect the movie for trying something new. I do. The Cenobites were probably the best part of the film. That said, the story this time around is about a young woman who is an addict whose brother goes missing due to the puzzle box. And it's interesting in that this time around the puzzle box, the remake configuration, configures into multiple forms, all being a form that makes the puzzle box crave a sacrifice, if you will, and it's like it cuts someone and then they get sacrificed, and then the next person who touches it will get cut and get sacrificed. We got some callbacks to the original movies, which was nice, but like I said, I'm not really overly nostalgic for the original film because it's not a horror film I watched as a kid. I watched it more recently, and as a result, while I do enjoy the Hellraiser franchise, a lot of the callbacks were not necessarily lost on me, but they didn't necessarily have the effect that they would on someone who is nostalgic for the property. All that said, Hellraiser 2022 lacks a lot of what makes the original great, but it also takes the franchise in some different directions, which I can in fact appreciate. Now, again, I would say the original Hellraiser is probably, for me at least, a 4.5 to 5 star movie. The remake, 3, 2.5. It's not a great flick, but it's also not the steaming turd that a lot of people might make it out to be. So yeah, that's my review of Hellraiser and the Hellraiser remake. The biggest issue with all of this, of course, is the fact that they changed the gender of the Hell Priest Pinhead to a woman this time. The character is now played by a woman. So I think that there was a lot of useless, unneeded commentary there. But, it is what it is. I enjoyed both films, not necessarily equally, but there you go. I'm your host, Cinema Kane, and I hope you've enjoyed this review of Hellraiser and the Hellraiser remake. If you did, don't forget to click that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click that bell notification so you know every time Cinema Kane has a new video uploaded. And I'll see you at the video store.